In this video, we will try to demonstrate about the Keel IDE, Keel Integrated Development Environment, and we will see here in this video what are the tool flow of how to start a project, how to create a project, how to create files and everything. And later we will try to see how to write a program there, and how to run it, build the project, debug it, and how to get the outputs and everything. We will see in this video. Let me share a screen. Right. Okay. So now we have already installed the Keel ID, Keel Microvision tool. The tool name is Keel Microvision, and version what I am using here is it is 5. Okay. This can be used with the version 2, 3, 4, all are compatible. So the version is tool name is Keel IDE. I am opening it here, and it is developed by the ARM ARM. So this is the window. This is the overall window, starting window of Keel Microvision tool. Here we are having the different types of windows here. The menu bar, and here we have some different options which are not yet highlighted. But while doing the project, definitely we have a provision to use them. Coming to here are the different windows are there. Project window, some hooks, some functions, some templates, different types of windows are there. So there are a lot of options are there in this tool to use, but according to our will and according to the program what we are trying to implement here, we have some, we can use those functions. Okay. First of all, we will see how to create a project in my Keel Microvision. So going to the project here. So this is the environment, and here I am going to the project. So in this project, we will use here a new Microvision project. So by selecting this project, you will get this window like this. You will get this window like this. Okay. So this is some default path which is showing in my system. Okay. So based on the system, in which folder we have installed this tool, the path will be defaultly shown here. And here we can give a project name here. So since the option we have gone through is creating a new project. First of all, you have to give a project name. Let us say, since I want to perform some ascending operation, previously some project is created already, but for the tutorial purpose, I am again creating a new project. Okay. So let us say ascend. Let us say the project name is ascend. Like this, I have created. Let us see. So I am clicking the save button. So what you have to remember is the path. In which path you are saving your project files. Please, you have to notify this path number. Path. Okay. So I am saving the project, and once you click the save button, you have to select the target among the different types of target device. So what this purpose is, selecting the device for target 1 or target 1 here. So what this means is, since it's the Keel Vision Microvision tool, what it conveys is you have to write a program with a simulation tool, so that you write a program here, it look like some program is written on some microcontroller and it is being run there. That type of perception we will get here, because Keel Microvision is a simulation tool, an integrated development environment, which is containing different types of assemblers, compilers, debuggers. All these different tools packages are commonly provided to call as integrated development environment. So so based on this tool, what we will do here is, first of all, we need to select a target, because if you select a target, so based on the target's architecture, our this tool will make us feel like this code is actually running on that microcontroller. That feel we will get here. Okay. So that's why the target, what is your target device? What type of microcontroller you want to for what type of microcontroller you want to write a program. That's what we need to mention here. So that's why I'm selecting a target. So generally, Atmel based microcontrollers we generally prefer. There are different types of microcontrollers are available, which you can study in your theory part regarding the microcontrollers. Okay. So among these, I am preferring an Atmel based microcontrollers. Atmel, ATMEL, Atmel based. So in these big computers also, in this based, this company based microcontrollers also, there are so many versions and so many uh, different variations are there. And among these, what I select here is AT89. There are different types of microcontrollers are there. AT891051 like this 2051 or AT89C51 like this. The different type of versions are there. CMOS implemented, hybrid MOS implemented, like that. Some different versions are there with some flash ROM, all these types. We can select based on this. So what I am interested is from my side, I am going to for let us say I am going for 89S51. It is my wish. Okay, you are not forced to go through it, but if you wish to, you can go. If you select a microcontroller here, you can watch the what are the features of that microcontroller, basic features of the particular microcontroller. So 8051, it is a fully static CMOS based controller, 3-level program memory lock, 32 IO lines, 2 timers or counters, 6 interrupt sources, a watchdog timer, 2 data pointer registers, 4K flash ROM, and 128 bytes of on-chip memory, on-chip RAM, on-chip primary memory RAM is available. So these are its features. Suppose if you take a 89S52, here we can see the description is changed. Means it is showing here the description, this window, what are the basic features. Based on the target you have selected, its corresponding features will be displayed here. 8089S5152 like this. Okay. So the basic difference here is 52 means it is having 3 counters. The internal on-chip RAM size is also increased. Flash memory size is also increased. So here, coming to this 8089S51, it is having 2 timers, 4K flash, 128 bytes of on-chip RAM, which I am more than enough sufficient here. Okay. So now, what we will do here is we will click OK after selecting a particular device, or otherwise you can go for the starting one, 8089C51. You can use that one also. So there is no forcing that. This one also you can use 8089C51. It can also be used. Here also you can have a look at the its features description in the provided in the description. You can see the features. 8051 based fully static 24 MHz clock frequency CMOS based controller, 32 IO lines, 2 timers or counters, 6 interrupts, 2 priority levels, UART features like this. Some different functionalities are also available. So either you can use it or you can go for 8089S51. So whatever it is, you can use it. Okay. Anyway, I can use it. So once you click the OK, this is the window you will get here. So copy the startup.a51 to the project folder and add a file to the project. Okay. So let us click yes so that it will give some supporting files. Yes. Right. So this is how you will get the window here, project window. You can see here. If you expand this target one button, you can find it here. After expanding this one, you will get like this. This is the startup.a51. This is the startup file, which contains some basic commands and everything for our basic interpretation. Okay, for the tool to interpret the required libraries or the programs what I am writing, it should be properly interpreted. That's why this file is necessary. Establishing some proper linkage and everything. Okay, so we does not need too much bother about this file. So what we need to do here is we have to create a new file here. Okay, because we need to write a program. That's why. So after creating this project, what we need to do is go to the file, create a new file, a new text file. Here you have to write your program exactly. Here you have two options, whether you need to write a program in your assembly language format or in a C language format. Because microcontrollers supports both the assembly language programming, and the embedded C language, embedded C programming language also it supports. But as per my tutorial requirements, I am going for the assembly language format. And here we have to write a program. Okay, since I am already available with the program, I have already created a program. I'm just copying it here. Okay, like this, I have a program which already I have. I'm just copying it here. Instead of copying, you can write your own program here. I'm just trying to explain one example. That's why I have taken a already existed program and trying to show you how can be written and everything. In the same manner, you can write your program. You can write your program here and you can save it. Now the main step here is after writing the code here like this. Since it is a new file, you have to save it. I have to save this file. ASCEND. I'm saving it like this, but we have to be reminded with the extension ascend order dot asm because okay, let's give this caps letters ascend order dot. The file name is important since the program written in your file here is an assembly language programming. I prefer to use the extension as .asm. Okay. So now you can click the save button so that the file will be saved as the ascend order.asm. Okay. This is the file name provided. So now you have to do is on right clicking, go for options. Not here, I think. Target, options for the target. So after writing the program and saving it, go to the target, click on the options for the target, and there you need to do some small changes in the settings. Okay. The device already have selected 89C51. Earlier these much of options are not provided. But once you have written the program and everything, when you went for the options of the target, then you are displaying with all these different tabs. Okay, you can see here. So what are the tabs containing? This contains the crystal oscillator frequency, the value, the default specification is provided here and everything. So what I want is here, I want our theoretical microcontroller 8051 based microcontroller theoretical clock frequency I am preferring here. So that's why 11.0592 megahertz. That's what I am preferring here to make it happen. Okay. This is what the crystal frequency I am using. I prefer to use. Okay. After making this change, let's go to the output tab. Go to the output tab and check this one. Create a hex file because this is the file format which will be understandable by your microcontroller. After completing the project, after completely running the project and debugging the project and everything, this hex file needs to be actually dumped into your microcontroller, your corresponding microcontroller, your target microcontroller. Okay, so that's why whatever the hex file it is getting created, it will be created here because you provided the check mark. Okay, and it will be compatible with that target microcontroller. It will be understandable to that microcontroller. In that peculiar format, that hex file will be created. Okay. So these are the options we have provided for our target microcontroller, what we have selected. Okay. Next, creating a hex file and then you click OK. Now I click OK. And next. So once your program is completed, then go for the options, project, go for the project, and then click build target. There are so many options are available. So earlier also we have went for the project option to create a new project, but this time we went to the project menu to build the target because we have already selected the target for the project. And upon the target, what are the program I need to create, that is also I have created. Okay, one more step we need to do is this one. add these existing files to the group source. This step is very important because even though you have created a program, this program is not yet included in our target. Here, see, this is only startup.a51 program is only there. File is only available here in our target, in our source code. But what we have to do is, whatever the program now you have written, it should be added to our project. It should be added to this target device to get compiled, to get executed, everything. So that's why what I will do is, upon right click, source group 1, I will go for add existing files to the group source group. So already we created this file. What we have to do is, we have to just add this file. Okay. So in this file, defaultly it is showing c.format. But what the file format we have created is assembly format, assembly source file. So I know my file name asc.ascend order. This one. The file name is important. Please check your file name. By selecting this file name, I will click add here. So you can observe here, whatever the program you have written, it is added in your project, in your target list of files. This is what. This step is very, very important. Once this is completed, then only we can do anything. So, after the completion of adding your file to the target device, file is created, added here, then we will do this step, project filter. So if you see here, this is the size, these are the details of the program available here. Its data is 9, X data is 0, code is 42. So what does it mean is, program size. Here the data memory required for this program is 9 bytes. That the code size is 42 bytes. Okay, that is what, 42 bytes and everything. Very small size. X data means external memory. Are you using any external memory for this program? No, nothing. So that's why it is 0. The code memory required is 42 bytes. RAM memory required for this program is 9 bytes. Okay, these are the details of this. And while building this target, there are 0 errors, but 3 warnings are provided. So we does not need to bother about the warnings. We can move on for the next step. So after building, so nothing but compiling. So here in the sense, building the target means compilation is done. Is there any syntax errors, or is there any uh, like so that instruction level errors, or some basically some syntax or compilation errors? Are there any observed or not? That will be checked here, building target at this stage. So after this, we can move for the debugging stage. So here are two options, two types. By using two ways, we can start our debugging a project. One is by going to the debug menu, by clicking the start or stop debug session. Once we click, we can start the debugging for the project. For this entire project, we can start the debugging. This is one option. Debug, start or stop debug session. Otherwise, a simple shortcut is there. This one. This one. This is a D symbol, the magnifying glass. Here you can, when you put a pointer there, you can see the message start or stop debug session. Either you click this option directly, which is available here, or you can go to the menu and click this one. So either way, you will be directed to the debugger. So yeah, right. So here it is showing some evaluation mode running with the code size limit 2K. So some of the versions what I did, Thiel Microvision. In some of the versions, since some of the versions available are evaluation version, what happens is code size limit will be there. Code size limit will be it's a hindrance for that. But unfortunately, whatever the codes we are writing here for our tutorial purposes, but they never reach that limit. So we does not need to bother about this one. But it is just a precautionary message. Okay, so no need to bother. Once you click OK, so like this, you will be directed here with some different types of windows and everything. You can see here. So this is the register window where you can see different type of registers that are available and that can be used in our programming. Okay, and you can see a list of these registers here: R0, R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, R6, R7. So which are called as the register bank. Either for bank 0, a general purpose registers which are available here, and these are the accumulator register, B register, stack pointer, data pointers, like this. A different type of registers, program counter, like this. Whatever the different registers you have studied in your theoretical, theory part of microcontroller, those are all mentioned here, so that if there is any usage required, these registers will be used. And based on the registers mentioned in your program, those values will change whenever debugging is started. Okay. And this is a PSW register, program status word register, which will give you an indication of what type of flag got affected. Here are different types of flags are there. Parity flag. This F1 is a flag which is left for the future purpose, and this OV is a overflow flag. RS, okay, RS. This is a register selection. This is the future purpose. These two bits are left for the future purpose. RS and F0. Register bank selection bit. This one. Okay. This AC is a auxiliary carry. CY is a carry bit, carry flag. So these flags are indicated here. PSW register. So they will initially all are zeros. Okay, no need to worry about it. But whenever actually you can see the all values are zeros except the stack pointer, it is 07. What it means is whenever a microcontroller is reset or initiated, stack pointer starts from 0x07h 07h. In your theory also we studied. Stack pointer of 8051 microcontroller starts from 07h, an empty stack. That's why SP is defaultly loaded with here a 07h location value, address value, stack pointer. Okay. So for starting the debugging session, we have some different options here. Let's have a look at this one. Step 1 line, and this is step over the current line. So if we click this line, we can observe that line by line of debugging, we can make it happen. But between, based on my program requirement, what I have to do is my program is regarding the ascending order. Okay, this is a tool flow regard. This is a debugging stage. Okay, after explaining this program, we'll again come back to it for the debugging. Okay, temporarily I am exiting from the debugging session. So I'm trying to explain this program so that we can understand what is happening here. Then we can go for the debugging and everything. So coming to here, the program what we have written is regarding the ascending order. So the main logic here, what the logic here is, in some series of memory locations, I will place some values. So 4 or 5 locations, some 4 or 5 locations. Let us say I will provide some values in some random manner, and what this program has to do is this program has to arrange those values in those memory locations based on the ascending order. So in those 4 or 5 memory locations, the values has to be sorted in ascending order. So in the first location, the least value. The next location, the second highest value. The next location, the next value. Like this, in the ascending order, the values has to be sorted out. That logic I am trying to implement here. Okay. So coming to the first one is ORG000H. What it means is that in your code memory, from which location you are trying to write your program. So I am writing from 0000H location in our code memory or program memory. That is what this indicates. ORG000H. Okay. Next one, move R0 comma hash 04H. So here this R0, R7, R1, all these are the general purpose registers which we have earlier seen in the registers window. So these are all the general purpose registers available in our register bank R0 to R7. Among those registers, I am using some of the registers. And based on the theoretical concepts we have provided, okay, for the register indirect addressing, which is available in our 8051 based microcontrollers, we are supposed to use only 2 registers. for using or for writing, okay, what to say, for accessing the contents in the register indirect addressing mode. We are supposed to use only two registers. What are those? Is R0 and R1. So that's why I'm using here this R0 and R1 for our purposes, and this R7 is also used for a counting, for a counter register. The counter register, since it is a general purpose register R7, I can use it here as a counter register. Okay. So now coming to the logic here. Here I am using initially R0 is put R0 move R0 hash 04H. Here this hash symbol indicates that it is a value. So whatever the operand I have written here in this instruction, it is a value. Okay. If we remove this hash symbol, the microcontroller interprets that it is an address value. Since I have placed the hash symbol here, move R0 comma hash 04H, it indicates it is a value, data value. That is. So I have used this. So what it means is that how many values I am providing. Let us say 4 values. Okay. 4 locations. Let us say I am taking from 00 to 0004H. 00 to 4H. Totally 5 locations I am trying to access 5 values. How many values I want to sort here is 5 values. Okay. Just to move R7 comma 04H. This is another count value I am using here, okay, for sorting and everything. Next move R1 comma hash 30. So where I want to load these values, that's what I am using. Where I want to load these values. Okay. In our location where I want to load these, because I have to load the values in our memory. Which memory? Not code memory, but data memory. Means RAM. In our RAM memory, I need to load these values. Whatever the values I want to sort, I have to load these values in our data memory. From there, the accessing of these values will start and the sorting of those values will be taken place. Since the instruction I have used here is move, not a move X. Since the instruction what I have used is a move, I have the provision to use the data memory only. If I use the instruction move X, then I can have the provision to go for code memory accessing. Okay. So as per my program requirements, I does not have the requirement to go for code memory accessing also. And moreover, I am generally interested in data memory accessing. So that's why I have written the program like this one. So act to access to load the values into the data memory and access those locations. So that's why the instruction is given like this: move R1 comma hash 30H. Okay. So what does it mean is now R1 is loaded with a value 30H. Okay. But this below instruction, it changes the every meaning. What it means is move a comma hash at the rate of R1. Move a comma at the rate of R. Here this instruction is a register indirect addressing mode. So what it says is, what it conveys the meaning is move a comma at the rate of R1. In the previous instruction, I have loaded R1 with some value 30H. And whenever in this instruction at the rate of symbol is provided here, the microcontroller interprets that R1 is containing an address value, and by going to that address value, I can access a content, and that content can be now moved into an accumulator register A. That's the mean. Okay. So now the statement provides the provision of accessing a value which is now referred by R1. Okay. And then after getting this value, we will increment the R1 value. Means we can go for accessing the next location. Whenever that currently accessing location is completed, we can go to access the next location. That's why increment R1. Okay. And now R1 will go for accessing another location. Let me represent like this. Let us say some series of locations are there here. Let us say some different type of locations are there like this. let us say this is some 30H. Okay. So let us say this is a 5, 3. So I am taking some small values for sorting purpose and everything. 5, 3, 4. Let us say it is 2. It is 1. Let us say. I want what sorting I want to do here is ascending order. Ascending order sorting. Okay. So now what it will do? This 5 value is there. So initially what happens? Because of this statement, move a comma at the rate of R1. So at this point, A is containing 5. Accumulator is stored with value 5. And now R1 get incremented. So now what happens? Earlier this value is stored in R1. 30H is the value stored in R1. But whenever this statement got executed, the increment R1, what happens is immediately R1 now shifts from this location to this location. What happens now? Now R1 refers to next location 31H. Like this. So the register R1 now referring to the next location and it is containing a value 3. So now what happens? Based on this statement, move B comma at the rate of R1. So what happens now? B is containing 3. B is containing 3. Okay. So this statement gives a provision of comparing those two values. So it's Tj and E. What it means is compare and jump if not equal. Compare and jump if not equal. That is the provision it is provided. Okay. Right? Okay. So compare and jump if not equal. So if you compare these two values, 5 and 3, they are not at all equal. So it does not need to bother about this. So since they are not equal, this condition is satisfied. Compare and jump if not equal. So that means this condition is satisfied. So obviously the execution control will jump now to which label? To the next label. So here the two values are compared, A and B values, and since this condition is satisfied, since these two values are not equal, it is true. So the execution control will now jump to this label next, where it is here, next label. So jump if carry to the down, jump if carry to the down. If there is any carry occurred, that means because of comparison, if there is any borrow occurred, then also the carry flag will set. We already know about it, that part of calculation. Okay. So in arithmetic operations, if there is any borrow generated also, it will be reflected in the carry flag. We already know that. So suppose if that type of situation if any occurred, then the execution control has to move to the down. Okay. So 5, 3. What happens? So generally, whenever this type of statement is given in this order, what it means is that whether this 5 is greater than or equal to 3, like that the comparison will start with 5, 3 comparison will be started. That means 5 internally what happens is 5 minus 3 will happen. So because comparison operation is also one type of subtraction operation. That's why 5 minus 3 will happen internally. And what happens is since 5 is a larger value than 3, there is no need of generating any borrow or anything. So no need of carry. So that's why what happens. So there is no carry generated. That means 5 is greater than 3. Since there is no carry, because 5 minus 3 is a positive value, so no carry generated. So that means 5 is greater than 3. So what happens? Jump down condition failed, and it will now the execution control will come to here. So move at the rate of R1, comma A. So what is the value now loaded in A? It is 5. So now coming to this analogy here, I'm just trying to write here. So what is the R1 referring to now? In which location now the R1 is referring? 31H location. So what is the instruction I have written? Move at the rate of R1 comma A. So I want to swap these two values. Is comparing these two locations. The first one is a higher value, next one is a smaller value. So that's why these two needs to be swapped. These two needs to be swapped here. So what happens? So initially this 5 will be located here because already this value is copied into the B register. So no need to worry about that. First of all, what happens is move at the rate of R1 comma A. So means in this location where R1 is pointing to means that 31H location 5 will be loaded from where from the accumulator register which already we have. Okay, and then decrement R1 because this location the value has to be loaded, right? So decrement R1. So again this R1 will now points to this location by getting decremented means R1 will become 30 here and now refers to this location. At this time what happens? Move A comma B. Move A comma B. So what is the value of B here? 3. Previously it is 3. So now this value will be moved into this one, this accumulator, and from this move A at the rate of R1 comma A. So now what happens? Because of these two statements, 3 value will come here. 3 value will come here to the 5. So what happened? Because of all these stages, 3 and 5 got swapped. So one sorting completed, one iteration is completed among these two values. Okay. So now what happens? Increment R1. So now the R1 duty is completed here. So now we will point to the next location so that we compare this value. Since it is a 31 location. Now R1 is pointing to this one, this location. Because of the increment R1 statement, R1 now points to this location. And now it will compare these two values, 5, 4. Sorry. And this one, 5, 4, 2, 1. Now the comparison will be made between these two values. Same logic will be applied, 5 and 4. Okay. But down, increment R1 after that, decrement and jump, if not 0, R7 come up. So why this R7 is provided here is copy value. Okay. So how many times is the sorting is completed? One time is completed. Still 4 values are left to get checked per. Means totally 4 given the value 4. Okay. But still among those, that means with the one value, how many values needs to be checked here? 4 values. But already one value sorting is completed. So still remaining 3 values are left to be sorted, to be checked. So that's why R7 gets decremented. Since it is a non-zero value, it will move to the label up. Where is that up label? Here. Again it will come here. Again A is loaded with the R1 reference location. The same logic will be applied. Again this 5 value is loaded to A and this 4 value is loaded to B register. The comparison will happen, and this time also since 5 is greater than 4, there is a no carry. So definitely again these two values will get swapped and 5 will be loaded here and 4 will come here. Like this the same type of operation will happen. Okay. So like this the logic will be implemented. We can follow the remaining steps based on your understanding. Okay, this is the basic idea. So now we will go to our actual the debugging step. So there we can clearly understand what is happening. So after this basic explanation, now let's jump to the debugging session so that I can practically show you what is happening there. So these are the windows what I am available with. Okay. So within the registers, currently all are empty. Once I start the debugging, this value starts getting loaded into the registers. Okay. And here, this window is important. Let's see here. This window, memory one. This window is very, very important. Okay. Now, since what is the memory location I am accessing here to store these values? Data memory. So that's why you need to click right here D colon D and colon symbol, because if you not specify this one, defaultly the memory it will consider is a code memory. But unfortunately here I am not storing any data except our program. I am not storing any data inside the code memory exclusively. Okay, that's why. So what I do here is I have to go for using the data memory. That's why I given like this. So what is the memory location I am using to store these list of values? 30H. That's why 0x30H. 0x30. So H will not consider. Okay, don't give that. So 0x30. This is the data memory locations I am available. So after this, by double clicking each location, I can enter a value. What I am trying to store in this location. So 05, enter. Next location, double click and enter your random value 04, enter. Next 02, enter. 01, press enter. Next some 03, enter. Like this. So into the 5 locations, I have entered some values. 5, 4, 2, 1, 3. Some randomly I have placed some values. So that my program will take care about these locations and make this sorting happen. Okay, now we will have a look at this. Okay. So first of all, making the debugging for the first time. Let's see what happens. So earlier there is no value in the register format, but now we are getting a 0x04 value. Which is the value provided in the instruction. That means the debugging is happening. First, we have started debugging and we are trying to examine the each registers and the each locations. What is happening? Right. If we keep on pressing these lines, what can happen is we can understand register by register what is happening there. Similarly, you can expand this program status code also so that what are the flags that are getting affected. Okay, we can monitor them. So what is happening now? R1 is loaded with 30H value. So that R1 now refers to the 30H memory location. This one. Now A is loaded with 5. Why? Because we have written a statement move A comma at the rate of R1 here. So that's why after referring that R1 pointed location, that value is now loaded into the A register. That's why A is loaded with 5 here. Okay, so this value. And next step is like this. Now R1 got incremented based on according to our explanation. The things are also happening here. Okay, now B is loaded with the 04H value, and now these two values will get compared. Coming to the next one. Okay, compare, and since they are not equal, they are coming to the jump next location, next label. As like we have explained, the things are also happening here. Next label, and next what happens is since no carry is observed, this condition will fail. So the execution control came to the next instruction. So what is happening now? Now A will be loaded with a 5. Just here. Now the value gets swapped, and you can observe here. Earlier there is 4. Now it is 05. So the swapping started. 05 and 05. Here 05. So like this. So see here after this debugging steps completed. So these two values got swapped 04 and 05. 04 and 05. 04 and 05 values got swapped. Okay. Similarly, next time R7 got decremented but is not at 0. So that's why earlier R7 is loaded with 4, but after this DJNJ statement, it got incremented to 03. But unfortunately, it is not a 0 value. So again, it directed to up label, where again these values are getting loaded and the comparison is getting started. So if you see here, after this number of steps iteration, now this what happens is this 2 will come here and this 5 will move to this side. Just have a look at this one. Just focus on those data memory locations, how the swapping is getting happened. Right. So now the swapping is done. 02 came forward and 05 went behind. This is how this sorting of these things are getting happened. So this is all the internal level. But once this total iteration on R7 is came to 0, again the R4 value will start. That means one again the top level iteration will start. You know, so the comparison is getting started between this 4 and 2. So 4 is loaded here. Now the 2 got swapped here, like this, like on this basis. The swapping will start, and finally you will get this value. Let's finalize this value step by step and everything. You can see this. You can see the change in the data memory location. How these values are getting swapped. So finally, those values are swapped. That is. This is the carry generated, right? DJ and Z, right? Like that. So iterations are complete. Total. Now I am exiting from the. So my desired ascending order is complete. So now I am exiting from the debugging. Right.